push start, a force to start the model bobsleigh moving, and a force to stop it. A force can make the bobsleigh speed up or slow down. But not all forces are obvious. Here, the force is gravity, speeding the bobsleigh up on the way down and slowing it down on the way up. But look what happens when the bobsleigh is left to run on this flat track. It slows down and eventually it stops. A force must be making this happen, and this force is called friction. Friction is a force which acts whenever surfaces move across each other. Here, there is friction acting between the runner and the track. Whenever the bobsleigh is moving, friction is acting upon it. Eventually, friction makes it stop, but without friction, the bobsleigh would keep on going.
This is what the bobsleigh actually rides on.
It rides on these runners. There are 4 on a bob. And you can see it's very smooth. And the key thing is to minimize friction. You can see it looks like a mirror.
So they polish it, do they?
They are polishing hours before they start.
This eggshell looks perfectly smooth, but if you magnified it thousands of times under a microscope, the surface is actually covered in tiny bumps. The same goes for the bobsleigh's seemingly smooth steel runner. Up close, it's actually quite bumpy, and under a microscope, the ice has lots of fine lines and ridges too. When one surface starts to slide across the other, the bumps and ridges slot into each other, and this causes friction.
Friction is created when 2 surfaces are rubbing together. That's the sort of thing you're going to get between the tyre and the road surface. Now that friction can create heat, and if you see some racing cars, you can actually see smoke coming off the tyres where heat has been created with the friction. We've got a couple of tyres here that at one time were identical, but as you can see, this tyre has been worn out. In fact, the tread is far less deep than what it is on this one, and that's created through friction between the road surface and the tyre. If we have a look at this little bike here and spin the wheel, and I put my finger on the top of the wheel, it will actually slow it down. And it's friction between my finger and the wheel that is slowing it down. And that's very much how brakes work. This is how a car's brakes work. We've got a brake disc, we've got a brake pad. The brake pad pushes against the disc that is revolving with the wheel, and the friction stops it turning. Streamline means so it actually moves through the air really quick, so there's less resistance. For this event it'll get up to 60 kilometres an hour, that's nearly 40 miles an hour. Well, the bike has got very smooth curves, so the air does flow over it very smoothly. And then also the wheels as well. The front wheel's actually only got 14 spokes, so the wind won't get between too many spokes and slow you down. But also the rear wheel is a solid carbon fibre wheel. This is so that the wind cannot get between spokes at all, so it really moves through the air very quickly. The handlebars are real special. Normally on a normal bike we're sat upright like this, so the wind will hit you straight on the chest and you've caused lots of turbulence. But with this position we're down very low in a tuck position, so this enables us to be very narrow, so we're like a blade going through the air. You can imagine if you've got real baggy clothes, the wind's just hitting you like a parachute. So we need to wear real quite tight clothing, and this sort of outfit's called a skin suit. We cover up the shoes because obviously you've got laces or Velcro straps, so the shoes are covered, so again the air will flow over the shoe area. We wear a helmet like this. It's designed so the air will flow over the crash helmet and also over the back of the bike rider. Basically it's a difference between winning and losing. This helmet could save you up to a couple of seconds per kilometre.
Streamlining is in nature too, with animals deliberately making themselves more streamlined to move easily through air and water.
Parachute is a large area of material that creates air resistance. So when it's above a person falling towards the ground, the air resistance stops the person travelling quickly, stops the person injuring themselves when they land on the ground.
Well, couldn't you use an umbrella?
An umbrella would be perfect for a teddy bear, because a teddy bear is small and light. But the bigger or heavier the object is, then the bigger the surface area of material that's required to create enough air resistance to lower it down gently. Something like a spaceship coming back down to Earth, a little capsule, would probably have 3 parachutes, and each parachute would be huge. Parachutes are made of a kind of nylon. The idea is that it's very, very strong, but very light. This parachute's a round parachute, 8 meters in diameter, and the surface area is sufficient to create enough resistance to lower one person to the ground safely. But with modern sport parachuting, we use square parachutes. They're a little bit more fun, they're more controllable, more steerable, and a little bit faster.